Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Home. Whoa, where are we?
Where are we? I'm
Where,
lost.
where
I'm
are we?
behind the
What?
.com and I can't get out.
That's unusual. Let me see what's going on there. What? There we go. Hello,
There we
everyone.
go.
Welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this, our August 21st, 2023 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including what's going on with the upcoming Superman Legacy movie, what James Gunn has said most recently. We're going to be talking about why Superman the movie is still considered the greatest superhero film of all time. We're going to talk about the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman, comic books, and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. So to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Michael Bailey. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Doing well, and yourself?
I am fantastic.
It's not what you
I
said
am,
before the
once
show.
again, that's not what I said before the show, but whatever happens before the show stays with before the show or something like that.
Something like that.
No, I'm fine. I didn't just watch Zero Day Part 1 10 minutes ago. That didn't happen at all. That happened. But we're going to be talking about all of that because this is Superman Homepage Live. And because this is Superman Homepage Live, we want to hear from the people watching us live right now across the many platforms that we're broadcasting live from right now. So, if we don't have too much to talk about, we want to hear from you about halfway through the show. And how does that happen? Well, it's really simple. There's even a graphic for it at some point.
Yes, here it is.
There we go. SupermanHomepage.com/live. Press the call now button, or you can scan the QR code below with your smartphone. If you do the first option and are listening with an external speaker, please mute that because it can screw things up. If you are doing the second option with your phone, please use your AirPods or your earbuds or whatever you use, because just you operating off the microphones for some reason has a weird crackle.
Yes, and if you're a little bit shy and don't want to get on the phone tonight, then you can feel free, if this will go back to the screen where I can see myself. What's going on tonight?
Oh, now you're trapped behind the QR code.
Yeah, that's right. It just doesn't. Yeah, this is a lot of fun tonight. It's really, yeah. There you go. It's a bit of a lag. If you're a little bit shy and don't want to get on the phone or call in your trusty computer video, then you can just simply participate in the comments right there on YouTube. For some reason, Facebook isn't working tonight. The live feed on Facebook. That's why I've been kind of tinkering in the background trying to get that working. That seems to be having a few issues. So we're on YouTube, and you got an alert on Twitter as well. So if you're a little bit shy, you can comment on the YouTube feed right there. Michael and I can see your comments and questions, react to them as the show goes on. So feel free to participate there. Also on YouTube, if you want to use a super chat to have your comment or question featured live on the screen, that is available to you as well. You just click the dollar symbol there. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate. We will feature your comment or question live on the screen as we go along live tonight. There are also super stickers and super thanks if you want to give those a try. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. You can join those fine folks in supporting the show by clicking the join button on YouTube membership program, or you can go to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, Mike, at the top of the show, our graphic promoting tonight's show has been all about the fact that Superman the movie is still considered the greatest superhero film of all time. This kind of came about. USA Today published an article of the top 50 superhero films, and Superman the movie was still considered one. I'm guessing this came out because of Blue Beetle recently being released to theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised. Are you?
Yes, actually, I'm extremely surprised. Not because I don't like Superman the movie, and not because I don't think it is the best superhero movie ever. It's just we live in a world now where there are dozens, if not hundreds, of superhero films. And Iron Man and the MCU is still extremely popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I am kind of shocked that it wasn't like The Dark Knight or Iron Man or Captain America Winter Soldier or something like that. Because that seems to be the go-to for greatest comic book films ever or greatest superhero movies ever. But I guess whoever's writing the articles at the USA Today is right. I'll put it like that.
Very good. Yes, it's yeah, very impressive that Superman the movie is still considered the top film of all time. Surprisingly, there was no love for any of the Henry Cavill films. Um, Man of Steel didn't even rank in the top 50. Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, neither, Batman v Superman. I'm not surprised that's not there. The only other Superman film in the top 50 is Superman 2, which came in at the 23rd position, which is fairly low down. But yeah, I'm surprised that Man of Steel didn't at least rank in the top 50.
Um, that's. I am wondering if part of that has to do with, and of course, I'll be accused of being a shill or something for Warner Brothers. I wish. Actually, if I was a show for Warner Brothers, I couldn't talk about it right now because I side with the actors and the writers. So I wouldn't be promoting anything. I wouldn't get paid to promote anything. Let me put it to you like that. Um, but I honestly think that the DC brand is pretty damaged right now. I think it's taken a really healthy beating over the past 5 or 6 years. I don't think Justice League helped
Mm.
uh, because that was kind of a disappointment on a number of levels. Uh, when you look at the box office and the reviews for Shazam: Fury of the Gods and Black Adam and uh, Blue Beetle seems to be doing pretty well critics wise,
Mm.
but Flash didn't.
Not at all.
That was definitely one where the audience ranking was higher than the critics. But when you have such a shallow pool to deal with, I guess getting positive reviews. My point is that if you went to see Flash in the theaters, you were probably predetermined to like it. But I think DC as a brand has really taken a hit because of how roughshod they've released their films. They've not had a plan. They make last minute decisions, which are disastrous to the films itself. They don't let the people they told to make movies finish their vision, for good or ill. I
Mm.
mean, I'm not saying that Zack Snyder's version of Justice League would have made $1 billion, but at least it was a more of a consistently coherent film than the Whedon version. So those films, I don't think are. I think they're going to always have their fans, and there's always going to be the cult. But I don't think they're going to stand up over time. I think it's going to be like a whole rash of Superman Returns.
Yeah, it's a shame that some of these films of late just haven't been well received or well planned or well programmed. But yeah, so I'm not surprised that some of those Zack Snyder films aren't in the list. But Man of Steel, I thought at least had been well received and still to this day considered the best of the Henry Cavill films. But nevertheless, Superman the movie ranking number one, and yeah, you can read the rest of those films on the list at the USA Today article. You can go to supermanhomepage.com to find the link. All right, let's move on to upcoming films, and Superman Legacy, as we know, will be out in theaters July 11th, 2025, and supposedly, hopefully, it's scheduled for that anyway. But on the Threads social media platform, director James Gunn talked about the film, responding to one fan asking about, because Blue Beetle, as we mentioned last week, references Man of Steel in some way, shape, or form. A fan said, will this mean that James Gunn's film will be set in the past because of the fact that he's making a young Superman film? So for Blue Beetle to know who Superman is, it must have to be set in the past or something. And he was like, Gunn responded by saying, "I was never making a young Superman movie, just a Superman movie." Now, we always thought he was making a younger Superman film because of the fact that he's been talking about that this is Superman in his early days kind of thing. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean he's a younger Superman. I remember at one stage in the Hollywood Reporter, he said that Superman was younger than 40. That
Yeah,
doesn't
that
necessarily
that
mean he's a young Superman. It just means younger than maybe what we've been familiar with in recent like comic books and Superman and Lois.
I mean, if it's within the first year or so of Superman's career, if he didn't get started till he was 25, 26, that's I'm not saying late 20s is old,
Mm,
but it's not like young.
yes.
It's not like he's 18 or 19. So I think I like more than anything about what that says is he's like, I'm just making a Superman film. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to do somebody really young, a la the New 52. It seems like he's just making a Superman film, and he never said I was going to make a younger one. That makes sense. I mean, it's a weird place to drop it. Threads. Uh, he seems pretty active on Blue Sky as well. I think the strike is allowing him more time to. What is Blue Sky? What do you do on Blue Sky?
I have no. I've looked into it, but I haven't really.
Douche.
Yeah. Do you shoot
Is it a
things into the?
shine? I mean, like, Blue Sky's shining on me. I mean, what the hell?
It's just hard to keep up these days. I mean, I've got accounts on all of those, but everyone keeps expecting Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it now to die. Yet it just seems to be the one that's still most prevalent.
We keep having these like end of the world parties on Twitter, and it just keeps not going away. He keeps doing bad things keep happening to it.
Yeah,
Removing the block feature, I think, is terrible. But yeah, wow, okay,
yeah,
very good then.
yeah. It's hard to keep up with all the different social media platforms, and we're still pretty much just Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on Pinterest, but yeah, so many. Jeez,
I
give us a
think you need
break.
to do more like muscle shirt pictures on Instagram for the homepage. I think that'll attract. I think that'll attract an audience.
Maybe let's just wait till summer over here. I'll be taking the jackets off and showing the guns again.
Not allowed near. Don't show them off too much, Steve. They took those right out of your country.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
you will
Yes.
not allowed to be you will not allowed to exist.
No. Yes. All right. So that's what James Gunn had to say about Superman Legacy. Interesting comments. It's just there are little tidbits out there here and there. Not really great, groundbreaking news, but still, nevertheless, kind of gives us a bit more of a shape about what we're going to be hopefully seeing come 2025. On an interesting one, Jamie Dornan, who's obviously best known for his role in the 50 Shades of Grey, film adaptation, was on an interview with the Happy Sad Confused podcast, in which he revealed that he was asked to he auditioned for Superman many years ago, before the Henry Cavill casting. And he said that he's mostly steered clear of superhero films, but he did try out for Man of Steel. He says, "I only did one audition." Or let's hear what he had to say. Here's a video of him talking about it. It's a little bit weird, but have a listen to what he had to say about. Where is it here? I'm sure I got it somewhere. Let me bring it in. Here's the video file of him talking about the time that he tried to audition for the Superman film. Check it out.
You haven't had your superhero role, which is kind of unusual in this day and age for someone that of your ilk that would seemingly have that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there you haven't had your superhero role, which is kind of
Well, it's not
unusual in
visually
this day
coming
and
up, but we can
age
hear him
for
anyway.
someone that of your ilk that would seemingly have that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one that like you desperately wanted? Is there one audition that jumps out at you? You must have done a dozen superhero auditions, I gotta think.
I sort of haven't. I think almost. I think the only one I've actually auditioned for was Superman, and that was way back when. That's when Henry Cavill got cast. that's probably 12 years ago or something, more. You tell me. I don't know.
Did you get the suit on? Did you feel like you were actually in the running?
No, but I wore my own suit there. Was that a mistake?
You wore your underoos, your little. That might have been a bad call, man.
Yeah, they were Superman pajamas. They weren't actually like an actual suit. No, I remember, early audition for that. I got nowhere near putting the suit on. And I actually don't think I've been, I've had meetings with heads of studios that do those things, and we've talked about it, but I never got deep into any audition process for any.
He wore his Superman pajamas?
I think everyone's having some fun with us. No, it's interesting looking at him there. I can see why they had him. They auditioned him because he kind of looks like Henry Cavill.
Doesn't everybody these days, supposedly?
I don't. Not that I'm jealous. No, I mean the only thing that amuses me about this entire thing is that if he had ever gotten cast as Superman, Tyler Hoechlin was in the third Gray 50 Shades movie. So,
how do you know that?
Like, because I saw like a one. I have never seen any of the 50 Shades of Grey movie, and if I had, I would admit to it because that meant I would have wanted to. I didn't want to, but there was a trailer or ad playing one night on television, and I was just like, "Is that Superman?" So I got out my phone and looked up the IMDb, and sure enough, yes, he was in the third one. So, which makes sense. I mean, they needed good-looking guys, who take their shirts off. So that's it's interesting to see people, actors especially, who is there like pressure in Hollywood to do a comic book film now? I mean,
they seem to be paying good money.
It seems like there are certain actors that are like, "Oh, I'm just never doing that." Like, stop asking me. And I'm just like, are people asking you? I mean, is this like now? Because there was a point where doing a superhero film, like you did that early in your career, and hopefully you survive. Your career survived it. Now it's just like everyone. I was watching one of those actors talk about their career things, and Kevin Bacon was talking about X-Men First Class, and at the end of his, a lot of really complimentary things to say about it. He seemed to have a good time doing it, and at the end he goes, "And I did my comic book film," and it's just like, oh, okay, like actors have that on a checklist now, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, who didn't? I mean, outside of you and me, well, maybe me. You could have auditioned, and I would never have known. Like, who didn't audition for Man of Steel besides Brandon Routh?
Yeah, exactly. It does seem to be, a thing now that everyone keeps getting asked. Are you going to be in a Marvel film? Are you going to be in a superhero film? It's like, and all these actors keep saying that, and some people have really strong opinions about, oh, we'll never do a superhero film. Like you said, it's just like, are they just movies? Like, don't you just go into a movie? I mean, do they really have that bad of a stigma for some actors to really hold them in such disdain?
Well, like, I forget the actor's name. He's on the Fabulous Gemstones, and he was in the Pitch Perfect films. But he did an interview recently that's made the a lot of TikTok videos where he was talking about how Marvel killed comedies, like films, and it's kind of interesting because I'm not in that industry. I'm not an insider, obviously, because I probably would be doing something else for a career, which might be nice at this point. But but he was talking. But it got me thinking. It's just like, well, yeah, because they made $1 billion, and studios are going to go where the money is. And to be fair, the audience wanted it. The lead up to Avengers Endgame, and just the excitement that was not just by comic book fans, because comic book fans, as has been proven this past year, will not make a movie successful by themselves. You've got to get the people that just like going to movies. And for a while there, Marvel films were really, really popular and really successful. And yeah, that meant probably that studios were investing in things other than what they had been. I would argue that led streaming services to make to kind of fill the gap in that. But I I say this as somebody that doesn't go and see films. I see the idea of going to a theater becoming more and more of a special thing and not something people just do anymore. It's too expensive. I'm not just talking the tickets. Like getting something to eat there is like super expensive, and that's where they make their money is the concessions. Uh, you've got people on their phones all the time. You've got TV and home theater systems that are almost as good as a theater, and you can pause those and go pee and not miss anything. Uh, and it's more comfortable, and it's just kind of nicer. I watch so many movies on my phone right now, and I realize that to some people that's like anathema. That's like, oh my god, why are you doing that? You are ruining the experience. It's just like, no, I'm actually more engaged because I have my headphones in, and I'm really focused on the film and what's going on with it.
It's
So
interesting. Now the theaters are having to really beef up their efforts. Now I'm seeing like these screens that go around. So not just IMAX, which are huge, but they're actually like peripheral screens as well. So that is, and then there's the ones where they've got the shake, the seats that shake. That 4K. It's not 4K, 4D experience. So yeah, I think theaters are having to really up their game and provide something that is beyond just movies on a big screen with surround sound, because with, as you said, home theater systems these days have that.
yeah. Butson says David Lynch is boiling with rage as Michael watching his films on his phone. I think David Lynch would be really annoyed if I was watching films on his phone. He probably wants his phone back. So I don't know how I got David Lynch's phone, but we're gonna and Mind the Gap makes a good point that there are original films on streaming that are terrible, uh, but at least it's kind of an outlet. Um, so it's so weird. The pandemic, like major upheavals, allow businesses to do things they've always wanted to do, and they use that as the excuse. DC wanted to break with Diamond. They had wanted to break with Diamond for years, and they let the pandemic be their kind of like, oh well, we're doing it because of this. Um, I honestly think when you look at the upward trend of going to the film, and I can't believe we're spending so much time on this. I will stop talking in a second, I promise. When you look at the upward trend going into 2020, I think we hit the peak of superhero films, but because of the pandemic and because that put everything on hold, I think that kind of made people think that superhero films are still as big of a deal as they were 5 years ago, and they're not. And that's okay. Genres come and go. The Western comes back every decade or so, and we get like a really good science fiction film every once in a while, and for a while there was like gross out comedy in the mid 2010s. So I don't know, I just think that when we're ranking these films and such, that and when we're talking about actors, whether or not they want to play a character. I mean, we're looking at an interview that looked like Jamie Dornan. I'm looking at the name and I'm blanking on how to pronounce it. It's just like it looks like he was just trying to have some fun. Like the fact that he said, "Is that what killed it for me?" Just made me think that's him. Like taking the piss, as they say.
Yes, exactly. So there we have it. Just talking a lot about the movie side of the world. But let's change tact. And as you said, you watched the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman, the animated series. Episode 8 was 0 Day Part 1. This aired on August 18th, or depending on whether you're looking at midnight as being one day or the other. And in this episode, we had a very interesting, take of Superman getting his super hearing. And Jimmy was away on vacation at his mother's and came back to find Clark pretty well high-strung and burnt out almost.
That was a funny way to introduce the episode. I did. Him discovering super hearing in his sleep is makes me feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I like to say he actually thought somebody was in the apartment. That was kind of cute.
Hello.
I was a little bit torn on this episode. It was very well done. Don't get me wrong. I continue to enjoy this show. I'm somewhat disappointed that they went to the Is Superman a Menace? I guess Vicky Vale works for J. Jonah Jameson at some point. But having said that, it was an interesting way to kind of gear up for the ending of this season because hopefully this means they're getting it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna do this early and
put it to bed.
I just think they just keep going back to this well. On the other hand, Lori Lamaris let me down. And I do like that Bibbo was there filming stuff. And I like that Flamebird's taking off. I'm really proud of Jimmy.
Yeah, that was really
good. I don't
good.
know where he's in the server space, but still.
Yeah, see some of those kind of Easter eggs of people's names on screens. Talking about on Flamebird, Laurie Lamaris and Bibbo and all that kind of stuff was quite cool. If you're a fan, seeing all that stuff. The fact that Clark is kind of burning out on his super hearing, as Mind the Gap says, super hearing would be like doom scrolling all day. It would be pretty hard to switch it off. And I mean, how many cats are getting caught up in trees in Metropolis?
This is an epidemic and somebody needs to look into it. Vicky Vale should have been doing articles on that, in all honesty.
Exactly. Sorry, I was just going to say Vicky Vale, the name drop, and the fact that she works at the Gotham Gazette, made people straight away, is Batman going to show up? They mentioned Gotham, and I was like, please, can we not have a Superman show for Superman alone? Does every Superman thing have to bring Batman in somewhere? Like, leave it alone.
Remember back in 2016 in the second episode with Tyler, or the first episode with Tyler's Superman, when the family were moving back to Gotham, and that that caused like an eruption of articles about how Batman is part of the Supergirl universe and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, wow, you are starved for clicks. And it's just like it's a weird Pavlov's dog response. Like it's like a bell and they start barking. And it's just like, guys, Vicky Vale was a terrible human being. I mean, I'm not just talking about being anti-Superman. That's all well and good. But manipulating an old friend and manipulating two interns to become the editor-in-chief of the Gotham Gazette, that's just it doesn't make you look good, Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale.
Yeah, just to give herself a promotion at the Gotham Gazette, that was pretty low. So yeah, Task Force X relocating the detainees. So you got Silver Banshee, Roughhouse, Livewire, Heatwave, and Parasite. Moving them all to a new location, and obviously Kyle, who's missed, the invisible guy, was the only one to escape, and they're still looking for him. But Superman, helps him or offers to help him find his sister, and it was interesting to see how, because of his lack of sleep and kind of failing to be regenerated in so many ways, both just because he's just been going 24/7 for however long his super hearing's been kicking in, Superman isn't kind of at his full capacity, and he's got to making a mess of things, and because nobody else can see mist, it just looks pretty, horrific to the people of Metropolis.
Do you think the Mist was in on it? I mean, because he was wearing a collar at the end of the episode. So, did they catch him and use him to lure Superman to the installation? Because it seemed like it was a trap.
Good question. I didn't even think of that. Kyle seemed pretty legit as far as being in a bit of a panic. But
yeah, I could be completely wrong on that. I've been wrong on many things. So, Crystal Pepsi being one of the biggest, that was a really bad call.
Yeah.
No, but it was. I mean, it's just one of those funny things where, as I'm watching the episode, I'm like, this isn't for me. I mean, it's for me as a Superman fan, but it's not for me as an older Superman fan.
Yeah.
This is a Superman show for people to get people into Superman. So there is a whole generation of people who are getting into it that have never seen the Superman as a danger thing. How many people watching the show also watched Superman and Lois or were fans of the Snyderverse? It's a well that they keep going to because it's something that piques the audience interest in the contemporary era, and we've been dealing with it for well over a decade now. Back during the New Krypton era, going into the New 52, going into the Snyderverse. It's Injustice. My wife hates the costume in Injustice, by the way. I found that out this past weekend. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that they can't do it, and it's not compelling just because I'm sick of seeing it.
Yeah, no, good point. And the fact that this Clark is so genuinely positive and upbeat and helpful and innocent, I think, juxtaposing that with the evil Superman kind of makes a really stark difference, because there's no ambiguity about this Clark Superman as far as his actions are concerned. He's definitely there to help people. We know that as an audience. Other people who don't know the inner workings of Clark's life like we are watching it, the people of Metropolis, may have doubts because superheroes are a new thing to them. They've never seen a man who'd flown before and all that kind of stuff. So you can understand there being some kind of doubt there amongst the people of Metropolis. But and it's obviously also playing to Lois's insecurities as far as what she knows about what the possibilities are. So I think it's handled fairly well, even though, we are sick of the will Superman turn bad thing. But if you're keen to continue on listening to Superman homepage views on My Adventures with Superman, I've been turning my reviews into a podcast. So 0 Day Part 1 is the latest. There are all the episodes previous to that have been recorded as a podcast as well. It's available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or you can just get it on your favorite podcatcher, whatever that might be. So if you're keen, you can check out the Superman homepage, My Adventures with Superman podcast. It's just me giving my thoughts on it. So you don't have the dulcet tones of Michael Bailey included, but nevertheless, hopefully you will still tune in. And I've got episode 9 ready to go, so that should be pretty much available straight after the episode airs on Adult Swim. And speaking of the next episode of My Adventures with Superman, it is episode 9 of the first season, titled 0 Day Part 2. Funny how that happens right after 0 Day Part 1. And it's the second part of a 2-part storyline. And here is the promo trailer for that episode. Check it out. My Adventures with Superman, Season 1, Episode 9, 0 Day Part 2.
On the next all-new My Adventures with Superman.
Hopefully the visuals come up soon.
You're not going to punch your way out of this one, Superman.
I'll restart
When
it
is
if it
the
doesn't.
invasion? How many of your kind will come through this time?
Here we go.
This time? You've met others like me? When?
You dare still pretend that you're the innocent one here?
My Adventures with Superman. All new. Next Thursday at midnight on Adult Swim. Next day on Max.
there it is, the latest episode trailer for My Adventures with Superman. We're just getting a bit of a lag on the visuals in the software tonight that we use, so they just kick in a little bit later than usual. We'll have to see what's going on there. But we're back. So what do you think? 0 Day Part 2, an invasion.
I like I'm really now more curious about General Lane. Who hurt you? Seriously, you've got a lot of anger. You need to work through that. Maybe do some Tai Chi.
Yeah, well, it says Superman finally gets answers to who he is and where he came from while coming face to face with the general leader of Task Force X. Meanwhile, Lois and Jimmy must find Superman before Dr. Ivo destroys Metropolis. So, you've got a couple of things happening there, and you obviously, as you probably can tell, we'll see why General Lane, of course we do know now that he will be who you think he is, Michael, is so angry and scared of what Superman supposedly is threatening. You know, what the threat there is behind Superman. So you'll get a background of the general in his earlier days. So yes, look for that in 0 Day Part 2.
Alrighty.
All right, we are well and truly over the halfway mark of tonight's show. Before we do anything, before we go anywhere to our break, we need to segue into what is happening next week, because it is My Adventures with Superman related. We are having a live exclusive interview with the co-producer and writer of one of the writers of My Adventures with Superman, Josephine Campbell. We did a text-based interview with Josephine before the series aired on Adult Swim, sometime last year actually it was. But she has agreed to come on and be a guest live here next week on our next episode, August 28th, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, where you'll get to ask all your burning questions about what is happening with My Adventures with Superman. Join us next week when we chat with Josephine. As I said, August 28th, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. I did this little promo thing on our social media accounts about this. Have a look.
Will we see Batman? Will Superman turn evil? Does coffee affect Superman? Will Jor-El learn English? When will Brainiac show up? Find out the answers to those questions and more at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, August 28th, when we chat live with My Adventures with Superman co-producer Josephine Campbell on Superman homepage live. Will we see Batman? Will Superman turn evil? Does coffee affect Superman? Will Jor-El learn English? When will Brainiac show up? Find out the answers to those questions and more at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, August 28th, when we chat live with My Adventures with Superman co-producer Josephine Campbell on Superman homepage live. Just head to supermanhomepage.com/live.
So there you have it. That's the details for next week's show. Very excited to have Josephine come on and chat with us. It should be really cool to be able to get the answers to some of those questions and more. So get your questions ready. If you are intending to be part of the show next week, you'll be able to submit those questions. If we have time, we might even take some live callers to be able to ask those questions direct of Josephine herself.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and it will be right after the 9th episode, so you'll be keyed in to ask all the questions right before the season finale, which will air on the following Friday, obviously. So it's a great time to have Josephine on to be part of our show. So looking forward to that. Make sure you put it in your calendar. Don't miss out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Try to play some of these videos. As you can see, we're having a few technical issues, but we'll be back right after these messages. Don't go anywhere. That one worked fine.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
This Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick, it's happy.
Canavision 8 camcorders.
Hey, I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
And we're back on Superman Homepage Live, where we do have a guest calling in to chat with us tonight. It's our good friend Mark Lax, who I'll be bringing in as soon as the video comes back on and allows us to... there we are, and bringing Mark in right now. Welcome, Mark, as soon as you show up. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing well. I'm not able for some reason to get you onto the screen, but hopefully everyone can hear you, but it will show up shortly, hopefully. But yeah, good to there you are. It's good to see you again.
Right.
Great to have you back. How have you been?
All right, not too bad. How you guys doing?
Good. You got a fresh haircut?
Yeah. I didn't shave. Sorry.
Very good. Yeah, it looks like two twins with Michael in the middle.
Yeah.
The Three Stooges, but we don't know who's who.
I don't know. My hairline is racing to catch up. It really is.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's go into the comic book side of things, where this week DC released their November 2023 solicitations, and there were a few interesting comic books to look at, including a very exciting look at that there is a follow-up to the... If I can get the graphic up. Turn that one off. Sorry. There we are. Follow-up to the Superman 78 series. Superman 78, The Metal Curtain, Part 1, or Number 1. When the planet Krypton exploded, its last son was rocketed across the cosmos and came to settle in a small town in Kansas. But what else came with him? And what if a piece of his home landed somewhere we never knew about? As Superman has become a symbol of strength and pride for America, the Soviet Union looks to crush that image with the creation of their own, built by their own might and forged with their own power. Robert Venditti returns to the Man of Steel with new artist Gavin Guidry. There you go.
Let me ask a question to start things off. Does that not sound like the plot to one of the Superman radio serials?
It could be.
I mean, I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying that doesn't feel like a Superman film with Christopher Reeve. That feels like an adventure with Bud Collyer.
Like they were Adam Man. Yeah, kind of
like Adam Man.
Adam Man, but with I guess Metallo.
Instead of the Russians, instead of the Germans, it's the Russians.
It's the Russians, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can, there's a lot of great source material in anything, but the radio series has some great stories. So why not mine that? Elsewhere in the solicitations, there was obviously Superman number 8, Superman versus the Chained concludes. One of the biggest battles Metropolis has ever witnessed comes down to Superman doing the unthinkable and sacrificing his powers to stop the Chained. How does that impact Lex Luthor's plans Or is Lex too busy dealing with the shocking return of his mother in Superman 850, which is obviously doubling as Superman number 8?
So his mother, Lex Luthor's mother?
Interesting. Lillian, I'm guessing. Also, they've got Action Comics 1059. As the forces of Nora Stone's Blue Earth take control of Metropolis, Superman dusts off his Warworld weapons and armors up alongside Steel to take their city back. Can even the House of El defeat this potent new threat? Meanwhile, the shocking true identities of Nora Stone's mysterious family are revealed, building to a battle royale for the ages. A pivotal issue not to be missed.
Do you really want to miss any of them now? I mean,
Have you ever read a solicitation where they say you could probably skip this episode, this issue? You probably don't really need to read this one.
Especially now, that won't happen. Although during the New 52 and maybe Bendis's run, there were a few that I said I think I could wait to
the trade.
Yeah.
Anything else catch your eye in the solicitations, guys? Michael?
Not really. This is, especially trade paperback wise, this was fairly light. We've got this whole Beast World thing with the Titans happening, which I looked at and went, "Oh, okay, that's a thing." And again, that's not an insult. That's just, it's not something that I went, "Ooh, that kind of catches my eye." I'm just more excited about, the latest issue of Action, the latest issue of Superman. The Superman 78 thing is interesting. I still have to read the first one, so maybe this is the time. But I will say this: the plot line of the second one really that does intrigue me. Having like a Russian, something to do with Kryptonian technology in Russia, that's actually kind of a cool idea. So it doesn't feel. I'm just hoping the art this time isn't quite as much of, "Ooh, I remember that trading card."
Yeah,
it's interesting they're doing a Cold War type of story, but I can understand that because I don't know if it's still taking place in 78 or 79, but it's around the time of the Cold War, so it's kind of an appropriate story, I guess.
So true. All right, well, let's have a look at the comic books available this week, and this is what you have to look forward to if you are a reader of the current comic books. And we do have, there are 4 things to look at. There is Dark Knights of Steel number 12, the 12th and final issue of this long and delayed limited series. This is also available in a number of variant covers, and they are there. And then we also have DC Ruby number 7, if you're reading that. We haven't been covering that at the website, but nevertheless, you might want to still know about it. Also, Dawn of DC Night Terrors number 4 is available this week, and it is available in a number of variant covers as well. And then also this week we have Night Terrors Action Comics number 2, the second of 2 issues, and that obviously leads into other Night Terrors comic books, mainly focusing around Power Girl in this particular issue, but there's also a backup story that is also interesting and that fans might want to check out. So that's what's available this week in the world of comic books.
Solomon Grundy's getting kind of handsy in that one image.
Yes.
I haven't read Dark Knights of Steel, but it seems like it's been going on forever.
Yeah, it's dragged on as far as
the
release.
Is it bi-monthly, or I don't know. I haven't read it, but it just seems like, wow, didn't the first one come out like 3 years ago or something?
Yeah, it feels like
I know it's been that long, but
it's been quite a long time.
Well, to be fair, this thing is going to exist as a trade paperback.
Yeah.
For the rest of time. So it's one of those things where there was a time in the early 2000s where I was really annoyed when books were late. And now it's just like, it'll come out eventually.
I mean, there's certain things like, Doomsday Clock that kind of ruined what they wanted to do originally. And then, not that the way it ended and all that. I mean, it was okay the way it ended, but it still meant nothing because they're already months ahead, so.
I honestly don't think to be fair, that if Doomsday Clock came out on time when it was supposed to, that it would have been as big of a deal for Superman as it was. Because when it finally wrapped up, it was like during the Bendis era where things were kind of not good. And then you have like this story where we're treating Superman as the most important thing in the metaverse. So I honestly think I think that the main thing that series did was kind of screw up. Like I get the feeling that the whole thing with Mom and Pa Kent living under like a shield. I don't think that was originally part of the plan of revealing his identity, because I don't think they were supposed to be alive. But then Jeff Johns' book comes out, and apparently it's canon, so we've got to now talk about this.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Thanks, Mark, for calling in. Always great to hear from you. It's been a while, so we're great to see that you're well, and happy to see you well, and good to see you again.
All right, guys. Good to see you. Take care.
See you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
That was Mark Lax. Thank you for calling in. Michael, this week in history, here is your intro. Let's go.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right, another kind of quick one. This is going to be weird because our images have been so delayed, and I usually use those as the reference of what I'm talking about. But the first one is Adventure Comics number 193 from 1953.
In a second for you. There we go.
Yeah, which is Superboy's lost costume. Did he get Candy, the Private Eye, to help him find it?
Yes, remember him?
I want to see that. Is like. Did it involve like Bruce Wayne showing up and them bricking up his apartment? 1963. Adventure Comics number 313. From the sublime to the silly is but a step. This is the condemned Legionnaires. That's not what I read initially. The writing on that was a little small, and I was just like, could they say that on a cover? 1973, we have Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 161. Who's become a human atom bomb. The Olsen experiment, kind of like that. 1983, got a really cool Action Comics cover, Action Comics number 549, with a Phantom Zone villains and such. New Adventures of Superboy number 47. So we're nearing the end of this series, which is kind of sad because it got really good towards the end. Where he's fighting Sunfire on the cover. And World's Finest, number 297, which continues to be terrible. No one cares about the Pantheon Saga. This is like the worst era of this book ever. 1993, probably the biggest and most important book of the week, Superman number 82. Comes in two flavors, chromium and non-chromium. But this is where Superman is back, y'all. He gets his powers back. He's got long hair. The threat is defeated, and man, that brings back memories. 2003, JLA Scary Monsters number 6. Back when JLA was still a huge property to exploit in numerous miniseries. And we also had Superman Metropolis number 7. The continuing adventures of Sad Sack Jimmy Olsen. In 2013, we have Justice League Dark number 23, part 5 of Trinity War, so we're getting closer and closer to Forever Evil. Supergirl number 23, where we're getting deeper into the revelation that the cyborg Superman is actually her father. How did you feel about that?
I thought it was dumb.
You thought it was dumb? I thought it was like, okay, this is an attempt, and I'm not sure it worked, but at least it was interesting. And Superman Unchained number 3 and all of its variant covers. My God in heaven, were there a lot of variant covers for them. I still own a bunch of them. Of course, all the post-crisis one. In the real world, on August 20th, which was yesterday, Amy Adams was born in 1974. I didn't realize she was 2 years older than me. She's looking a lot better, too. August 24th, Superman Returns, as we were just talking about, in Superman number 82. And that, we got the other cover in there. Very good. And that is This Week in History.
Very good. Thank you very much for that, Michael. Yes, a big week when we consider what was happening in 1993. So there you have it. All right, let's get into the fan favourite segment of our show. All right, so in our fan favourite segment, what was our question from last week, Michael?
Who is your favorite freak of the week from Smallville? And Christopher Butson wrote in, my favorite freaks of the week on Smallville are the Weather Girls from season 7. I have my reasons. Have a great week, guys. Thank you all for
There they are there in all their glory. Wow.
I have no memory of them whatsoever, but I've never seen season 7. So,
okay, there you go. So, yeah, thank you for that. Next up was JP, who said... I'll go with JP. I'll read that one for you, Michael. He says, my favourite Smallville freak of the week has to be Tony Todd's Earl Jenkins from Season 1, Episode 8, Jitters. Candyman. Anyway, it's Candyman.
No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Next, we're going to be popping Beetlejuice out of this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach Tonic wrote in, I have 3. Coach Walt Arnold from Season 1, Episode 3, Hothead. I love his kryptonite power of pyrokinesis, and it's fitting for a passionate football coach or murderous football coach. Zach. Sean Kelvin from Season 1, Episode 5, Cool. His name is so on the nose, based on his kryptonite power, and he's basically a gender-swapped version of Killer Frost. And Jody Melville from Season 1, Episode 7, Craving. It's Amy Adams, future Lois Lane from the Snyderverse, and a fat-sucking vampire who's not to like. What's not to like about that? And it shows the ridiculousness of the freak of the week was often in Smallville.
Wow, thank you to those guys, Zach, JP, and Chris, for sending us their answers to the fan favourite question. Our new fan favourite question for this week is, who is your favourite villain from Superman and Lois so far? We've had 3 seasons, so who is your favourite villain from Superman and Lois? Get involved. The email address is on the bottom of your screen right now, info@supermanhomepage.com. We will read out the results of that fan favourite question next week. But that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. I want to thank everyone who tuned in and watched the show with us live tonight. Thank you for spending the last hour with us. We appreciate your patronage, the Nostalgic Podblast, Mind the Gap, JP Rocha, Mark Lax, and so many others, CJ Velasquez and Dinah Guy and so many others. Thank you for your participation in the show tonight. Thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt and Tina Murray. And thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mick.
Pleasure as always, sir.
And don't forget, Michael and I will be back next week with our special guest, Josephine Campbell, the co-producer of My Adventures with Superman, at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time next week on Monday, August 28th. We hope you'll join us then for what should be a fantastic show. Looking forward to that. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. Good night.